Alright, you're free to go, boy. Welcome, everybody. I know you might not recognize me because of the mask, but it's your host, Peter the Poet. And my co-host joining me here today, Catdadpeter Valentine. Say hello, everybody, Catdadpeter.
Hello, everybody. Valentine.
How's the audio sounding again, Catdadpeter? Everything sound good?
Sounds pretty good.
All right. Well, I can't wear this thing all the time. It restricts my breathing and my talking, so I'm going to be wearing it as a headpiece. So
It's a little glitchy. Oh, yeah. Maybe it's because I'm listening to it.
Turn off the audio from the stream now. We know that you sound good. Okay. Yeah, turn off the stream audio. Turn off the stream.
Okay.
All right. So today, our review for the Peterdapoet podcast, we're going to be reviewing the original 1978 Halloween versus the Halloween Rob Zombie 2007 remake.
A slasher film. Independent slasher film.
Go ahead and read us some more information that you got there on your hands, Catnip.
It was directed and scored by John Carpenter, who co-wrote it with his producer, Deborah Hill. It stars Donald Pleasance, Jamie Lee Curtis in her debut film. PJ Souls and Nancy Loomis, set mostly in the fictional Illinois town of Haddonfield. The film follows a mental patient, Michael Myers, who was committed to a sanitarium for murdering his teenage sister one Halloween night during his childhood. He escaped 15 years later and returns to Haddonfield, where he stalks teenager babysitter Laurie Strode and her friends while his psychiatrist, Dr. Samuel Loomis, pursues him.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's people like to think about this movie as like the original slasher. I think Black Christmas came out before Halloween, so technically Christmas came before Halloween. It's crazy. But
yeah, Black Christmas came out in 1974, and it was inspired by Psycho in 1960.
Yeah, I really like Black Christmas, but I also love how popular the environment, the energy that we get from the movie like Halloween. It really has the perfect element of season and stalker and horror, everything just mixed in together in the most perfect way possible, in my opinion. So we are going to be, since we are comparing a remake to the original, it wouldn't make too much sense telling one story through reviewed wise and then the other. So what we're going to do today is that we're going to kind of do a side-by-side movie review based on like what happens in the movie. So towards the beginning of the movie that we have for the original, we start off right away with Michael already making his he's already planning on killing his sister. But in the remake that we have for Rob Zombie, we get a little bit more backstory from Michael and his upbringing. I don't know. Part of me kind of feels like it takes a little bit away from Michael as a scary person. Because in the original, he was just pure evil. But here in the remake, he's like damaged, traumatized young man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell us. I'm going to let you take more the Rob Zombie side. So tell us a little bit of like how the Rob Zombie movie kind of sat with you before you give the review. Like, how did you feel about the Rob Zombie versions?
It was a little more gorier. It was a little more nastier. we see that there's a lot of differences that they added, like his mom being a stripper.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was a little bit. Everything else was very, very heavy, but I feel like that was a very heavy topic for a kid to have to deal with. Oh God.
Yeah. So he was kind of bred, through his family. He had a horrible upbringing.
His stepdad was so mean to him. His mom did love him. You could tell that his mom loved him, but I don't think she had a lot of time with him because she was always working, making the money. His sister, his little sister, really. Oh no, his oldest sister. She seemed pretty cool, but I guess he didn't like her because she was pretty mean to him, kind of making fun of him.
And the remake, she was like slapping him. And
yeah, she was.
What are you doing?
She was bullying. She was bullying her own brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. So then the movie starts off, and I'm starting from the Rob Zombie movie time wise starts off first, and it starts off with Michael washing his hands after he killed his pet rat. He said that it just died, but his pet rats keep dying because he's killing them. But his mom doesn't seem to click what he's doing to his pet. You know what I mean? So time goes by. He goes off to school. What happened? Do you remember what happened at the school? Can you tell us of the school environment? The school?
No, I don't. I didn't write that part.
Okay, so Michael
for the remake.
Michael goes to the bathroom, the boys' bathroom, right? And a few boys go in the bathroom too. And one of them has a flyer for his mom's job where she's naked. And he's making fun of him, saying that your mom is easy and she's naked, and that I could do your mom if I ever wanted to. And Michael's like, stop, I want you to stop. But they just kept going. So after school, after all that stuff happened, the kid, the bully, I think his name is Willie or something like that. He's on his way to school. He's on his way home, but Michael follows him through the woods or something like that, right? And then
I'm not sure. I can probably check for you.
Yeah, I can't remember if he led him into the woods or if the bully was chasing Michael. But at some point, Michael got the upper hand and ambushed that little boy and beat him to death with a stick. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
That was the first kill in the Rob Zombie remake, other than the rat. I don't feel like the rat counts because it's not a person. But the first kill is a little kid, and we're doing the Rob Zombie remake. So I'm just like, wow, this is really, really different from the original already. Because in the original, the first death is Lori. And yeah, she's naked. And
he already was showing signs of psychopathic tendencies as a 10-year-old Michael Myers in this film.
Right.
So,
in the original, we start the movie with.
Oh, his name is Wesley.
Wesley. I thought it was Willie. But yeah, in the original, Michael is already outside, and it looks like he's like a stranger. You wouldn't know who. It's almost like somebody breaking into the house, but no, he lives there. He's just outside for some reason and looking in through the window, which is kind of creepy. You know what I mean? Why aren't you inside? Why are you just?
So the original, he was just outside, and the mom caught him, right?
He was outside looking into the window, watching his sister on her date with her boyfriend. Remember, they were making out on the couch. They go upstairs. They're upstairs for less than 2 minutes. They had sex or something, and the boyfriend leaves before Michael makes his way upstairs. He already has the knife, and so the boyfriend leaves, and Michael goes upstairs and stabs his sister to death. But in the remake, we're going back and forth, but we're going to the remake again now. Michael has a stepfather. That's a very I'm not gonna say important
thing that they added.
Yeah, it's a detail that wasn't there in the original, but he's important in the way because he's also a victim alongside the boyfriend who got away in the original. But in the remake, he's the one who had the original white mask that Michael gets in the that he uses in his killing sprees, which I find really interesting.
Can you see the hearts?
Nah, I don't see no hearts. I'll let you know if I do.
Okay.
But yes, so we're going to the Rob Zombie remake. Because in the original, it's pretty tame. The only person that dies in the first couple of minutes is his sister.
His sister, yeah.
But in the remake, we already have Wesley, he dies. Michael slits the throat of his stepfather. He beats he beats his sister's boyfriend to death with a bat.
Yeah.
And then he goes upstairs and he stabs his sister to death. That's 4 people. Right there.
Yeah.
An extra 3
They
people.
did extra killings in this remake.
Very, very, very heavy stuff too. The way that he went upstairs was pretty brutal. But I think the
that scene where he was like touching his sister's leg was so gross. I was like, ew.
They didn't do that in the original, but they added that in the remake to kind of add that creep, you know?
Yeah, creep.
Rob Zombie, man. I love your movies, but damn,
was that kid traumatized?
I don't know. He was already like, I would imagine, but who knows? Maybe I hear a lot of times that in Hollywood they hire adults to play kids. So maybe that guy was really like 18, but he looks like he's 12. Who knows, you know? It's Hollywood. So we're kind of blasting through a little bit of the intro, but the important thing to remember is that Michael goes and he kills his sister. That's like the one thing that both movies share in common. That is the catalyst to him becoming very quiet. He doesn't talk anymore. He's just quiet and very stoic. And in the original, his both parents show up home and they take off the mask. He's wearing like a clown outfit, a clown mask, and it's different from the remake. I like that in the remake they show you him as a little kid, but with the white mask. You know what I mean? So right away you know who it is. You know what I mean? Right away you get into the feel of like, yes, we're going 100% full gas into the horror movie of Halloween, and specifically Michael as a slasher killer. You know. And then he kills his sister. We kind of move a little bit forward into the future, right?
So he goes. What? They take him away, right?
Right.
To the sanitarium. Hello?
Yeah, go on. I'm listening.
Oh, they take him to the sanitarium. In the original, they don't show him being in the hospital as a kid, but in the remake, they show him a little bit with his mom talking to the therapist.
In the original, they do show him as a kid, but it's only for like less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And he doesn't say or do anything. He's just sitting down, staring out into the window. Very quiet.
Yeah.
And he already looks a little older too, right? He looks a little bigger than when he killed his sister. I think a year had passed before they made the decision to keep him in the mental hospital until he was old enough to be tried for murder. But Loomis was very not Dr. Loomis, Michael's psychiatrist and doctor, was not happy with the security and the staff in the hospital. He kept
in the original?
Yeah, in the original. He kept telling them that he's too dangerous to be kept in a place that's not really secure. You need to put him somewhere more locked
They should have put his ass in jail.
In the remake, when they put him in that hospital, it's like a slow process. You see Loomis trying to talk to him. Michael is still talking. He still sees his mom from time to time.
Yeah. Oh, and he doesn't remember that he murdered them.
Yeah.
Like he's dumb or something.
Yeah, he blocks out the memory of the murder.
So that could be like a dissociative, identity disorder or something like that.
Yeah. And his mom seems so broken, so upset about the whole thing, to the point where in the future, when Michael starts getting frustrated, and he's already has the psychopathic tendencies, he attacks a nurse.
In the remake, yeah.
And in the original. They don't show you the original.
But that's when he's like older. He attacks the nurse.
No, he's still a kid. He's still a small young man.
I don't remember that.
But he murders her. He kills her with a fork. Yeah. And the mom is so upset and feels so guilty from that and all the other stuff that's happened, that in the remake they show you a scene where she takes her life. Right?
Yeah.
Was that feel fine? I don't know if that was necessary. I feel like you could have written it in a newspaper, or like had somebody say, "Oh well, she took her own life," or whatever, something like that. You know what I mean? But no, in the remake for the Rob Zombie one, they show you everything. I think it's a really heavy scene, really, really heavy. So now Michael's all alone, as far as, and he doesn't have any more family. He doesn't know that he has a younger sister still alive out in the world. In the remake, they make that very important, that his younger sister is still part of his life. In the original, that wasn't part of the story. There was no younger sister. It was just Michael.
The babysitter.
Yeah, it was just Michael didn't have another sister other than the one that he killed in the original. Not until part 2, anyways. So, and we're going to the Rob Zombie remake. The Rob Zombie remake, his goal was to reunite with his sister. Right?
Yeah.
But in the original, it was just Michael going on a killing spree.
Yeah.
He's just pure evil. Pure evil.
Pure evil.
But and then again, if you make that argument about him being pure evil, there were some scenes where he interacted with kids, and all he did was scare them. You would think if he was really evil, he would kill them too. No. But I think, but you know what? You know why I think he really is pure evil? In both versions of the movie, he kills a dog. That's evil. Yeah. That's pure evil. At least in the remake, he kills the dog and he eats it, I think. Or, no, that's in part 2. No, he just kills the dog. Yeah, he just kills the dog to get the dog to be quiet, which I find really messed up. So, let's compare Laurie versus Laurie. The remake and original Laurie.
Oh, she's completely different in the remake.
Whole different person. Michael's already different, whole different kind of character too. But he's still Michael Myers. But then you have Laurie. What the hell?
She's like a nerd, nice girl in the original, not like her slutty friends, trying to get some.
She doesn't even smoke weed when they're driving in the car.
No, she tried it. She tried it in one.
Oh right, she did hit it. She did hit it.
Yeah, she was all like coughing, all like, what is this and shit.
This isn't cigarette. What is this? Speaking of which, cheers.
Cheers. What you doing?
This is a pen. This is a vape pen. Normal
Those
tobacco.
things are gonna kill you.
Anyways, so yeah, Laurie is different. She's more reserved. She's more nerdy in the original than she is in the Rob Zombie remake. She's really flamboyant, very sexually charged in the remake. She's really
like flirty.
She's flirty. There you go. That's the word. I'm like, I don't know what you call it, but yeah, she's really flirty. And she has like really interesting conversations with her parents, her step parents, technically. But yeah, that's crazy that like they took that route with her character, because she's technically supposed to be the goody two shoes, but they really did kind of make her a little bit more of a rebel in the Rob Zombie version. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And her friends were still kind of slutty though. They were the same.
Yeah, she was.
They kind of actually did look like the original girls a little bit.
Yeah, they were pretty close. As far as the casting, it was pretty close. Lori, like, she was still a. I don't remember her ever being a blonde in the original. She wasn't a blonde. She was like a light brunette. You know what I mean? But then again, it's not about aesthetics aside. I think it was a pretty good casting choice. I just think that the script and her character was a little bit different for me to kind of like get with and feel like connected with right away. I feel like I connect more with the original Lori a little bit because she really has the I'm gonna protect my babies kind of babysitter aesthetic than the other Lori. She felt like, I'm just doing this because I need money to pay for my books or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Didn't take it too seriously.
So he started stalking her, right?
Oh, you know what I love about that? So we're gonna get to the scene where Michael breaks out from the hospital. Dr. Loomis and one of the nurses are talking to each other about Michael's situation and what they're gonna do about him. They drive up to the hospital, and a lot of patients are just walking around in the middle of the dark in the rain. And right away, Loomis is like, Michael probably got out. I gotta lock the door. He gets out, and in that moment, Michael attacks the nurse in the car. I thought that he killed her, but no.
No, he let her go.
He technically let her go. He could have tried to really kill her if he really wanted to, but no, he let her go because what he really wanted was the car.
Yeah.
Tell me why. This boy who's been locked up in a crazy place for like most of his life, who taught him to drive? They keep asking that question in the original. And I feel like, Loomis. They're like, who taught him how to drive? And Loomis is like, I don't know, but somebody did, because how did he drive? He just drove out of here like he knew what he was doing. He just drove. He was a really good driver because he knew how to stalk Lori in that car. You know what I mean? He drove really slow. Sometimes he drove really fast. Sometimes he drove really fast. Remember that scene where he drove real fast past the girls and one of them yells out, "Hey, speed kills." Yeah. So he knew, he was really smart as far as knowing how to drive. It just makes me think, who taught him how to drive?
It's probably somebody up in there.
Maybe he learned from watching it on TV, right? That's what I imagine. You know what I mean? Probably watched like a TV show during that time, and like the movie stars or the TV stars were like doing like so cool driving tricks or something like that. So he's like, that's how you drive. You know what I mean? So he steals the car after attacking Loomis and after attacking the nurse and escaping from Loomis in the hospital, and now he's stalking Lori. And it's I think the original, it really makes you feel creepy.
He closed out crazy. The way that he came out was like
so creepy. It felt so real. It really felt like somebody was like watching her. You know what I mean? Like a normal, regular, like a creep in real life. But in the remake for the Rob Zombie one, it felt kind of like he's not really stalking her. He's not really doing a good job. Almost like he's hiding behind the bushes, you know, like. It's kind of weird.
I saw someone behind the bushes in the original.
Yeah, they did, in the original they did the same kind of joke. I thought they kind of made it into a joke because he was like so obvious. You know what I mean? He's so obvious. You know what? One of my favorite scenes is when Lori is looking out the window and he sees him, and then she literally doesn't turn away. She doesn't turn away or anything. She just blinks, and he's gone. I'm like, oh crap! Is he real? Is he in her head? You know, no, he's real. He's real. And I also like that in the original and in the remake, when Lori is by the Myers house, you can still see Michael in the actual house looking at Lori from the inside. That was really creepy. That was really scary.
Yeah, I didn't like the stalking scenes. I was like, oh, this is scary because this is real life. I mean, this is like someone stalking you and the music like ding, 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 ding.
I like whenever you see him come out even a little bit, you just hear that. That weird keyboard. Ding. It's so yeah, it's like with some weird like keys that it hit. I don't know. It's so cool though. I love it.
The original played the soundtrack really good. I didn't like the soundtrack too much on the remake. It was kind of just like. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, they were doing like the big drums, like boom, 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 boom. Not like the keys. They weren't making it kind of like creepy. It's just a lot of like, ooh, like really spooky, like really low tone sounds. But you got John Carpenter. He knew exactly what he was doing when he wrote the music for the original. And they have to use that same kind of music for the remake. It just makes sense. You know what I mean? So, Michael breaks out from the hospital, stalking Lori, scares little kids for a little second, right? Because he's having fun. And then there's a break-in at the hardware store. What did they steal from the hardware store in the original?
A rope, a mask,
and a knife.
Tape? Oh, no, knife. Yeah.
Some rope, a knife, and a mask. That white mask is what he got in the original. But in the remake, he already had the white mask. So when he went back home to get that mask. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I found like that detail. I don't know if it was very important, but
he went in the floorboards.
I like that they did that for the Rob Zombie version. I like that they gave the mask its actual like backstory. You know what I mean? Made it important, other than just something that he picked up at the freaking store when he had a chance. You know what I mean? I thought that was pretty funny. And the cop who was investigating that break-in was the dad of one of Lori's friends. Yeah, I found that one pretty interesting too. And she gets attacked in the movie, right? But she lives.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't. I mean, she counts as a dead. They don't say that.
It's so funny how you see a whole bunch of tits in this movie.
There's so much more nudity in the Rob Zombie one than there is.
You just see them flying everywhere.
In the original, there's one nudity scene, but it's the most important. It's the first 10 minutes of the movie, so it's like the most important thing everybody remembers. You know what I mean? But in the Rob Zombie one, like you watch every half hour, there's boobs. I'm not complaining, but. You know, people notice and they're going to make it your problem. You know what I mean? So, Michael breaks out. Okay. You know what I like about the remake specifically? That fight that he had with the truck driver in the bathroom. That was scary. You remember that?
Oh, the truck driver in the bathroom? Which one, in the remake?
In the remake for Rob Zombie, when he attacked the guy who was in the bathroom trying to use the bathroom.
Oh, that scene was so funny.
It was so funny.
Threatening him, like, after I drop this bomb,
He got up in his face, though. He got up in Michael's face. He's like, you want to go? You want to do this right now? Let's do this. Michael was like, yeah, let's go right here, right now. And then look.
He was banging his head against the bathroom stall.
The truck driver was actually putting up a good fight, in my opinion. He was doing really well. But after a while, Michael just was too big. He was just too strong. He just started banging his head onto the side of the wall over and over.
And it was his hand, too. He was banging his hand, trying to get the knife off of his hand. Yeah,
it was over. But I find it funny because he did beat him to death just to take his clothes. He's like, I'm tired of wearing this hospital clothes. Let me get your outfit. I'm going to take it.
He had to get a big guy because he's a big guy. He needed his clothes.
That's true. That's probably why it makes the most sense that fight was pretty even for a little bit. You know what I mean? It was pretty evenly matched. I like that. So after that, Michael gets the outfit. He gets in the car. And I'm talking about the Rob Zombie one where he finally reaches Haddonfield and starts talking to Lori. So now the original and the Rob Zombie one are about the same as far as in like...
Their first meet is when she goes to the house to put in the mail, right? And he's like, he sees her.
I think in the remake, she feels like he's watching her, but in the original, she has no idea that he's even in there. He's just back in the.
No,
He's in
that's
the
when he
dark.
first sees her, and then he starts stalking her in the
Yeah.
school, I think.
Yeah, I think it definitely feel in the remake they kept making it a point because they want they Lori was Michael's sister canonically in the remake, but in the original she was just a babysitter. So like Loomis kind of had an idea of what was going on, but he just was focused on what Michael was doing as a person, not as a brother. You know what I mean? Because in the
Mm-hmm.
remake, Loomis was stressing that point that Lori was Michael's target because Michael was obsessed with her because she was his sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like that in the original, he didn't care. He was just killing people. He's like, this is my neighborhood, and if you're in my neighborhood, you gonna die. It's Halloween today. when there was a scene in the hospital when Loomis is like, they asked Loomis if he's waiting, what is he waiting for? And Loomis is like, I don't know. And you know, in my head, I'm like, he's waiting for Halloween. He's waiting for it to be Halloween.
It's his killing spree day.
Yeah, it's the day that he gets to go out and do his thing. He loves Halloween. So whenever it's Halloween, you better lock the doors or Michael's gonna get out, the boogeyman, and he's gonna start killing people. You know what I mean?
I like how she says in the end, is that the boogeyman? He's like, I think it actually is.
I think it was.
I think it was.
I like that in the original. My favorite line. I have a lot of lines that I like from the movie, but my favorite line is after Loomis shoots Michael. He shoots him with the gun, and then they look outside, and he's disappeared. And then he looks at Laurie. He's like, "I shot him 6 times." He's like freaking out. He's like, "Why? Where did he go?" He's freaking out.
He said that. I remember him saying
It's
that.
so funny. It's I love the guy. The guy who Daniel Clements, something like that. The actor who plays Dr. Loomis. Ooh, the original actor. I love him. He's fantastic.
Oh
Top
my goodness.
tier. Top tier. I also like the actor who plays him in the remake. I've seen him in so much stuff, but he has a different flavor. He seems a little bit more like an asshole than the other Loomis. And the other Loomis is funny. I don't know if you remember, there was a scene where the little boys were playing they were daring each other to knock on the Myers house, and Loomis was already in the house. So he's like, he pretended to be a ghost. He's like, get out. And then the little boys ran home. I was like, he's trying to protect them, but he's scaring them to protect them. You know what I mean? I thought that was pretty funny. Okay. So, Lori had planned for that Halloween night to babysit Tommy, the little boy Tommy. And her friends were going to hang out around the neighborhood. And
another one, Annie, was going to babysit another girl.
Oh, yeah. And then she got in touch with her boyfriend and got Lori to also babysit the little girl with Tommy.
Oh, Lindsay. I think her name is Lindsay.
Babysit Lindsay and Tommy so I can go have some fun with my boyfriend. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know. She probably would have been safer if she just babysit the girl all night. But, you know, live and learn. But, yeah. So, Lori got talked into babysitting 2 kids one night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she had to babysit 2 kids instead of 1.
2 times the money. She did agree that she was going to get paid.
And then Tommy kept telling her about the boogeyman, and she didn't believe him. She's like, stop with the boogeyman. Why are you so obsessed with the boogeyman? In both the original and the remake.
In the original, he wasn't even called Michael. He was called The Shape. They just knew him as The Shape. But the kids called him the Boogeyman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But, yeah, okay, so Michael kills the adopted parents, the step parents for Lori first.
Yeah. in the remake.
In the remake, that's crazy because in the original, Laurie's parents didn't play too much of a role as far as in like in the plot. You know what I mean? They were there, kind of doing stuff, but not really. It was just kind of Laurie doing her thing. But in the remake, Michael goes as far as in actually killing her new family, which I think is crazy. You know what I mean? He really knew how to get to her personally. That was messed up. Real messed up.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you got there, girl? Keep it going, Catnip.
While Laurie is babysitting Tommy Doyle, he murders her parents Manson and Cynthia. Dr. Loomis, having been alerted of Michael's escape, arrives in Haddonfield looking for Michael. After obtaining a handgun, Loomis attempts to warn Sheriff Leigh Brackett that Michael has returned to Haddonfield. Loomis and Brackett head to the Strode home, with Brackett explaining along the way that Laurie is really Michael's baby sister, having been adopted by the Strodes following their mother's suicide.
Something that was not put into the original until part 2. Continue.
After convincing Laurie to babysit Lindsay Wallace while spending time with her boyfriend Paul, Annie is attacked by Michael after he kills Paul at the Wallace residence. Bringing Lindsay home, Laurie finds Annie badly injured on the floor but is still alive and calls for help.
In the original, I think Annie actually dies.
So Michael attacks Laurie and chases her back to the Doyle residence. Loomis and Brackett hear the call over the radio and head towards the Wallace residence. Michael kidnaps Laurie, takes her back to the old home. He tries to show Laurie that she is his sister, presenting a picture of them with their mother.
Which is, again, another detail that was not included in the original. But so far, a lot of the things as far as in like the deaths and how they were carried out, most of the deaths were pretty identical to the
when
original.
She killed her friends and her boyfriend.
Yeah, as far as in the car kill, the kill that where he stabbed the boyfriend through the wall up into and stuck him onto the wall. Most of that stuff was pretty identical.
Yep.
Continue.
She was unable to understand him. She didn't know what he was trying to tell her with the picture. Laurie stabs Michael before escaping the house. Michael chases after her, but Loomis arrives and shoots him 3 times in the back. Recovering, Michael's recaptured Laurie's and heads back to the house.
In the original, it is a very famous and very well known fact. Because Loomis makes it very apparent. He shoots him 6 times! I shot him 6 times! But apparently in the remake, he shot him 3 times. I shot him 3 times! I shot him 3 times! Okay, okay, keep going. I just have to do the Loomis. I love the Loomis.
So they get into the car. They were about to leave, but then Michael smashes the window and he grabs Laurie, pulls her out, and he brings her back to the house. And then Loomis is like trying to convince him, like, he's like, let her go. I did you wrong. And then Michael lets her go, and then he goes after him, and he tries poking his eye out or something, squishing his eyeballs. And then she tries to hide, and she's like hiding behind a wall, and then she escapes the wall, and then she goes up in the ceiling. I'm like, damn, how'd she go in the ceiling and the wall? And then he's like punching holes in the wall and stuff like that. And then she falls into this room, and she's all messed up. Her face is all bloody, and she grabs the gun beforehand, but she grabbed the gun and she was about to shoot him, I think, but then he ran to her and they both fell out the balcony. And then she was still alive because she fell, I guess, on top of him, and she shot him in the face and was screaming, and then that was the end of the remake.
which is interesting because apparently these are the details that are important to know ahead of time a little bit. The Rob Zombie remake had two versions: the theatrical version and the DVD version. And in the theatrical version, the police are the ones to shoot Michael dead, not Laurie. So they were not planning on even making part 2 for Halloween. But even with Laurie shooting him in the face or the police shooting him dead, Michael still survived that somehow. If you can believe it. I don't know. There's a lot of little bits and details that are different. Also, another big difference between the theatrical version of the Rob Zombie movie and the DVD version of the Rob Zombie movie was Michael's escape from the hospital. Now, I know I'm not supposed to talk too much about this kind of stuff, but there is the guards in the theatrical version were just transferring Michael from one hospital to another. So he was walking in chains surrounded by guards and just going from point A to point B. But in the DVD or the home version for the remake, it's a lot more graphic. And I feel like this is where I start saying I don't mess too much with the Rob Zombie version. Because I don't feel like I do understand why the theater said, yeah, we're not going to show this. And I also, but at that same time, it kind of makes me feel like maybe they should have just cut it from the movie altogether. But no, Rob Zombie wanted to show this, so we're going to talk about it.
Oh, the guy who plays Michael Myers he's a professional wrestler. That's why he's freaking huge.
Oh, wow. He's got to be.
He's 6 feet 9 inches.
You gotta be a big monster. So in the theatrical version, because he's so big, he takes out like 6 guards by himself. But in the DVD version or the home version, it's 2 guards trying to abuse a female patient in the hospital in front of Michael and trying to get Michael to play along. And Michael's like, no. And he kills the 2 guards. I think he even kills the girl. But it's just so graphic. It was unnecessary. It was so gross. Because I know the guards are already kind of pretty shitty, I guess. But I don't know. And then there was that guard that was really nice to him.
Oh, yeah, the Hispanic guy.
The Hispanic guy. The guy who's played by Danny Trejo.
He's like, I was good to you. I was good to you. I was like, oh my God, this is sad.
Mikey, please don't. You don't know what you're doing. He
was trying to put the handcuffs on him. He was all shaky. He was like, I'm just going to put you back in your room. And he was like putting his hands up.
In all the movies that I've ever seen Danny Trejo in, you never see him freaking scared. Never. But in that Halloween movie, in front of Mikey, he was shaking. He was scared.
He's usually brave in movies, but in this one, he was like shit-faced scared.
But it was so sad the way that Michael didn't care. You could see, like, he just didn't care. He just killed.
I think he did. I think he was just like, sorry, but I have to kill you because.
But he did it slowly. It was so painful. Everything. I mean, dying is always going to be painful, I guess. But it's just like, damn, man, you didn't have to do that, Mikey.
Oh, he was drowning him.
Yeah. It was slow.
He threw a TV on top of it.
I'm telling you, it was a little overkill. You know what I mean? It was overkill. Yeah. It's too much for me, man. So I'm just like, yeah, you have that. You have the scene with the guards trying to abuse the lady. Like, I'm just like, you're hitting me really heavy right now, Rob. This is a little much for me. I thought we were gonna watch a Halloween movie, not a freaky wrong turn movie. You know what I mean? Whatever. But still, I'm not hating. I'm just saying, maybe tone it back just a hair or two. Because you're trying to remake a classic. You know what I mean? We don't have that. The craziest that the classic did was kill people and kill boobs.
You know why I think he wanted to remake the movie? Because that scene where where in the original where Lori was trying to open the glass, and I was like, break the window, break the window, and then she broke the glass, and then she opened the door and she ran out, and then in the remake she actually grabbed a chair and she busted that thing open. I was like, yeah.
You know, there's something that I missed a little bit that I wish that Rob kept in the remake. In the original, in the moment that you felt that Lori was really, the moment that you thought that she was gonna die was when she was in the closet. You remember?
Yeah.
She was in the closet, and Michael was like, "Okay, it's over. You don't have anywhere to run. You're at a dead end." Lori, something snapped in her. You remember?
She grabbed the hanger.
She grabbed that coat hanger. She's like,
Poke.
right in the eyes. And I'm just like, yeah. Finally, it's a fight. Now it's not about running. Now it's a freaking fight. You know what I mean? That's what I wish that Rob Zombie kept, which I think he still kind of kept. But Lori, she was just running throughout the whole house, and then she gets tackled by Michael. I was just like, what the heck is going on? What is this? But I see where they were trying really hard to make sure that it was like its own thing. I don't think they really were not planning on doing part 2. People just loved the Rob Zombie People really loved the Rob Zombie remake so much that they were begging for a part 2. Just like the original for the
So that's why they made a part 2.
That's why they made a part 2. But I don't think that I'm not saying that Rob Zombie didn't try, but I feel like he was trying to do something different with the part 2 remake, which is so different from what part 2 from the original Halloween series was like, which is also very debated. There's so much to talk about as far as in like the differences in stories and like the takes. But I personally, my vote for the W. If there was a W to be given, a winner for this match, I award my side to the original. How about you, Catnip?
I like the remake.
Oh no!
I'm a futurist. I'm a modern girl. I like.
Okay, Catnip. Whatever you say. You don't have to justify your.
Well, I like the original too, but it was so cheesy for me. It was cliche. It was cringy.
It's the one that created the cliches. It's the one that made the cliches possible. Without that, you wouldn't have cliches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
So that's how you gotta look at it too a little bit.
But it was just like that scene where she was like, her titties are flying everywhere. I was like, oh gosh.
Oh yeah, but I think if you wanted to make an argument that I want to make a short film about something scary for Halloween, that beginning part of the movie could be the whole movie. You know what I mean? But they didn't. It's just jumping off point for something greater, and I love that that's what they went for the original. And I think the remake, is almost like copy and polish, but I feel like he over polished a few details. Yeah, Michael's crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
Michael's crazy, but now you're giving us 100 reasons to know why he's crazy. He doesn't seem that crazy. But in the original, it's just flat out crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And I don't use the C word too often, but
I like the whole idea of him trying to communicate with his sister.
Yeah.
Rather than him being crazy. I kind of like, because it makes sense, you know, like it would be 15 years later if she would be a teenager at that time, you know?
In theory, if you want to use that kind of logic while you're watching the original, but if you think that way, you can still kind of see it a little bit. But at the same time, Michael was so much more savage. Like, he was really trying to take out Laurie in the original. In the second one, I feel like he was playing with his food a little bit. As far as Laurie. Everybody else got it. But, like, when it came to Laurie, he really was like, oh, but that's my sister. But in the original, he's like, I don't care. Let's go. You know what I mean? Well, okay. we're gonna start winding things down. We're gonna try to cut this pod a little bit shorter from the hour mark, so we won't be keeping our audience for too long. I'm pretty sure they have a long Halloween list of things they have planned to do for this year, right? So before ending our episode today, we are going to give our rankings for these two films individually on now that I have written chart. It's a little small, but it is what it is for right now. So if you could humor me for just a moment, I'm gonna start reading this list out loud so you see what's going on here. So we got Dead Silence, we have Ghost Ship, House of Haunted Hill, Darkness Falls, 13 Ghosts, and now we have the Halloween original and the Rob Zombie Halloween. What I'm individually, the rankings and the points have been added towards the side. If you could take your time to really zoom in and look at this in your own time, you could get the gist. But before I get into the rankings, let's rank today's two movies.
You can barely zoom in on it and see it, so it gets blurry.
Yeah, I know. So let's rank today's two movies, okay? Where are we gonna put? What are you gonna give for the original Rob Zombie out of 10?
I gave it a 7.
A 7. Ooh, I think that's one of your lowest ranks. Most of your ranks are above the 8 and above mark. But this is the first one you've given a 7 to. And I gotta say, I'm not happy about it, but
I'm gonna give
a solid 7, not a 7.5?
8.
Oh, I already put the 7. 7.5 or 7?
7.5.
Okay, 0.5. That's probably more because of me, because I kept giving you a hard time. Okay. Now, what am I going to give the original Halloween? Well, let me surprise our audience by breaking the low score record that I've been giving of 8 and below, and give this Halloween original from 78. Keep saying 79. I'm going to give it a solid 9. That's very generous. So together, the 8.5 plus the 9, gives us a grand total of 16.5.
Whoa.
Which is actually at the same level that we gave rankings for Ghost Ship. And above the rankings that we gave for House of Haunted Hill and Darkness Falls. Interesting. Okay. Now, the Rob Zombie Halloween remake. Give us your ranking, Catnip. What's it gonna be?
I say an 8.
8? Just a 0.5 above the original. Okay, Rob Zombie, that's how much you improved on the original. You made the original 0.5 better. All right. Now, for the Rob...
8 is a pretty high. 8 to me is a
high. 8. That's a pretty high 8. And you know what? I really like this movie because it is based on the original. So with that being said, I am going to give the Halloween Rob Zombie remake from 2007 an 8.5.
Wow.
So together, that'll give it a grand total score of, I think it equals the same thing. 16.
It equals the same thing, right?
16.5, everybody. 16.5. Our highest ranked movie that we have as a duo is 13 Gold! Woo woo! Yeah. That's a good movie. Okay? I think it's because we're, from that same era where that kind of movie was very popular. We went to the movie theater and we saw it. Well, we were too young to actually go see the original Halloween in the theater, and we were old enough but still young enough to go see the Halloween remake for Rob Zombie in the theater. But it was different. It was a different time. So next month is November. We're gonna have a special guest on on one of our podcasts very soon. His name is Phil. He's trying to iron out all the details so we can have that for you guys as soon as possible. So check us out and keep an eye out for that. But for our next podcast next week, next month, November, we're gonna break the trend of horror movies. Still on the scary. Yes, Catnip. What is?
It's a thriller type of scary.
It's one film that we're gonna review, but it's such a good film. It will definitely take up the 1 hour mark. Let us know the name of the movie for next week's Peter the Poet podcast.
They live.
Woohoo! Sorry, Roddy Piper. You know, he puts the sunglasses on and he has that catchphrase where he's like, "I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass."
And kick ass.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
I'm all out of bubblegum.
So let's make that official there, Catdip. They live.
They live.
All right. I'm freaking excited. I know you are. So, with that being said and done, we're reaching that hour mark. We're about 4 minutes away from the hour mark, but we're going to sign out together right now. Thank you all for coming out and joining us today. We really appreciate you guys for whatever it is, who forever is out there listening to this. We really enjoy doing this kind of thing. It really is something that we take a lot of joy in. And definitely going to keep bringing these things to you guys on a weekly basis.
They should do requests too.
Oh, yeah, and we're always open to requests. The spooky season is winding down, but there's always room for horror. But we're very open to the concept of other genres as far as in film, as far as sci-fi, action, whatever, romance. I know everything is open here, even TV shows. To that point,
video games.
And video games. And even to that point, we will be having a special podcast at some point discussing Fear the Walking Dead. My co-host has been a very avid Walking Dead viewer. I have actually taken my time to watch all of the Walking Dead media I could possibly absorb through my eyeballs. I am still one season off from the Daryl Dixon show, but I am caught up to a 99.9%. So, as soon as my co-host is done with watching Fear the Walking Dead, we will be having a full series discussion, character-wise and everything in between, regarding Fear the Walking Dead, and with some spoilers and other things regarding the original show, The Walking Dead. So, with that being said, we're going to sign out. Thank you so much. Go ahead and take us out, Catnip, and I'm going to do us a little theme song.
Like and subscribe, everyone. And if you can like and subscribe my channel, Catnip Valentine, that would be awesome too. Thank you guys for
Catnip
watching.
Valentine on YouTube, on Twitch. She's always gaming. She's always on. It's hard to miss her. It's hard to miss her. So check her out. Stick to the Peter the Poet podcast. We'll be bringing it back to you next week with They Live. All right. Thank you so much. Happy Halloween, and be safe. Don't drink and drive.
Bye.
Bye.
Sad, no?